everybody doing today? Welcome to an edition of Chords and Chrome. Today we are doing truck racing today. That's right. We are going to be focused on where did it start? When did it start? We got some great stuff. We got our friends Thomas Wade, one of our preferred artists of the week. We got our friend Teddy Rowe, preferred artist of the month. We're going to be doing a special feature on Asleep at the Wheel. Remember these guys? 8-member band that was totally critical in getting things going in the 70s. So anyway, let's start off with the show, shall we? Here we go.
You got to make it shine.
You're listening to the Chords and Chrome show on Lead Pedal Radio.
Hard work pays off.
How's everybody doing today? Welcome to an edition of the Chords and Chrome show. We are going to start off with our artist of the month, Mr. Teddy Rowe. You've heard him. We've been playing his music all month here. He is our new artist for the month of August. And Teddy lives out in New Brunswick. He's originally from Saskatoon. And we're going to play his song, Walk in the Rain. And he's probably out busy hauling cars right now. But Teddy, here we go. Very, very talented guy. Check him out on his socials. He's got a big Facebook page. You can check him out there. All right, I'm going to get into our second preferred artist. We'll hear more from Teddy later on in the show, but our first one that we want to check into is Mr. Thomas Wade. He's our preferred artist of the week. Now, you guys know about Thomas. He's doing some great things. I'm going to play one off of his old Wayward album because I got a story that's going to get into that right after we come back. So this one's called Lying Here With You. Talented Mr. Thomas Wade, based out of Hamilton, Ontario. Thomas is a great guy. It's a beautiful song too. That's off their first album, Wayward. Here now. So I've known Thomas for probably about 30 years now. I don't know. We're getting older. It keeps going up. I just say over 20 is probably the best way to do that. But he's been on stages since he was 4 years old. So he's from that Brantford area out there, like Southern Ontario, Simcoe, all that kind of areas where he started. He's based in Hamilton now. But he's been on stage his whole life. Like that's all he's done. He's never had another job like, loading trucks or anything like that. It's just been playing. Started with his family band, then moved on. And when I met Thomas, we were following a group around called Wayward. And you guys have heard them. There's been Dan Peer and Joey Mayer, the Tropical Days duo that are preferred artists with us. They were the kind of the front man. There was about 4 or 5 of them in the band, and they brought Thomas in as the lead singer. So we used to follow them around. They were really big in the Kitchener area. They played a lot of places there. And the funny thing is Thomas was the only one who didn't drink. So he had the task. I mean, back then we were in our early 20s. So he had the task of getting us all to whatever hotel room we were staying at or home or wherever we were going. And he had the smallest car. He had, I think it's the equivalent of a smart car today. Anyway, that was the fun from Thomas. But he lost his voice. This is really interesting. He lost his voice. And now Thomas has been producing music, writing music. He wrote songs for Celine Dion. He's been well respected in the industry. Very talented, could play in multiple genres. And he lost his voice. Right, Thomas Wade and Wayward came to that area of like Juno Award winners. They were up for Junos and all that, which in Canada here is pretty good. That's kind of like getting you onto the label, going wherever you're going. And then the band decided to disband. And it was shortly after that, Thomas started his solo career. And then shortly after that, he lost his voice. For like 8 years, he couldn't sing. Could you imagine being on stage your whole life and then you could not sing anymore? And he was basically told no. And I'm not going to say the name of the disease he got because it's so long I can't even pronounce it. But if you want to find out what happened in the whole interview, go to Lead Pedal Radio's YouTube page and you can hear the interview we did with Thomas where he talks about it. And it's something Estonia. I don't even know what that means. So I'm going to leave that alone. That's not my area of expertise. But he was told he was not going to sing again. In fact, he was told he was probably not even going to walk again. And what happened? He somehow found out through hypnosis, through his own research, he was able to bring his voice back. And then he put out Blue Country Soul, which is another album. We're going to hear that afterwards. But he's playing now. You see him around Southern Ontario. Last year, he did a Beach Boys tribute. This year, they're going to be September 12th, depending on when you're listening to this. They're going to be September 12th in Brantford at the Polish Hall. This is a hall that a lot of people use, a lot of the singers. It's kind of like a dance hall. We went to see him do the Beach Boys there. He's doing Thomas Wade and the 90s Countries All-Star. So you're going to hear some good music. I'm going to play my favorite song from his first album. And this one here is, I think, very fitting for tonight because we're going to be talking about truck racing after we play some songs from Thomas here. But this one here is called 0 to 60, and it was my favorite song when they were producing it. It's still my favorite song, and I can tell you do not want to tap your foot on the pedal while driving if you're listening to this song, because it will make you go. I guess that's why they called it 0 to 60. All right, before we get on with the show, let me tell you, we got to say thank you to a few people that have helped us out with this show. As you know, things couldn't go on without our sponsors, and we got some incredible ones. Our friends over at Bison Transport, they're looking for owner-operators right now. If that is you, check them out at bisondriving.com. Very cool people for sure. And if you're also wondering, we've got our friends over at Chrome Supply. You want your truck to look the best it can? ChromeSupplyWarehouse.com. They got the best chrome parts in the country for sure. And then we got our friends over at RS2000 Tax Services. If you are a truck driver, you got to be using them for your taxes here in Canada. They're going to be helping you for sure. RS2000Tax.com. And make sure you check out our friends over at Driver Check. I know drug and alcohol testing isn't fun, but you want to check them out at drivercheck.ca, especially their Fitness for Duty Summit. And our friends over at Ontario Truck Driving School, always start your career off with the right foundation, and that is good training. Check out their courses at otds.com. All right, so we're going to get into our next part of the show. That's our part where we are going to feature racing. That's right. So we're going to talk about, where did truck racing start? When did it start? Why did it start? And we're going to start right after this song by our friends the Thompsons, another preferred artist called Racing Superstar. That's our friends the Thompsons there with Racing Superstar, which is a great lead-in to what we're talking about tonight. So we are going to talk about truck racing. When did it start? How did it start? Why did it start? And where did it go? And I'm going to share a little bit of I was just recently going down the track, actually just on Saturday, so I'm going to share some of that with you once we get into that. But it really did start back in the 70s. 1979 is when it started. June 17th, the Bobtail 200 at Atlanta Speedway had over a ton of trucks with it. It was on the oval track, and they were hitting 100 miles an hour. That's incredible, don't you think? That's right. They were doing some serious things. Mike Adams won the event that year, driving a 1965 GMC truck before 18,500 fans. Now, you may recognize this for sure, because this actually was part of Smokey and the Bandit 2. Remember the second version? That's right. That opening scene where Snowman's going around the track, that was actually that race. They redid it with the Snowman's truck, and very, very cool. So where did it go? Well, you know what? First of all, the trucks just tore up the track. Like, it was not made for that at all. And it just got too expensive to do it, right? Like, guys, weren't making that kind of money there. So tires, all that kind of stuff. And then it moved to Europe. So in Europe, it kept going, and they have a long one over there. And I got to share with you a story here that I don't know if you know this. I think it's hilarious. The guy that started this was basically, well, not the guy that started this, but the guy that really kept this going was Tyrone Malone. He's a household name. He did a Super Boss and a Bandit Kenworth drag truck that he used to take around to the different shows. Before he got that started, he did what they called, he needed to raise some capital. So how did he do it? Okay, so this is too funny. I don't know anybody else that would have done this. He bought himself a dead sperm whale. Now, he named it Little Irvy, and this sperm whale, he packed it into the back of the refrigerated truck and spent years hauling it around America. And you charge people 50 cents a ticket to walk through the trailer and look at the whale. The Little Irvy sideshow made Malone enough cash to build his multi-million-dollar fleet of hot-rodded, record-shattering racing. So, hey, you know what? Kudos to him. That's the way to do it for sure. So, they didn't do anything with safety gear. Here's the safety gear that they did. I think this is even more priceless. The safety gear was... it was improvised safety gear. So they they removed the heavy chrome bumpers so that it wouldn't spear each other when they hit each other. And the drivers made up duct-taped mattresses, spare tires, and heavy wooden blocks to the front of their trucks to serve as racing bumpers. Folks, that's trucking ingenuity right there. I think that is hilarious. Way to go, truckers. 1979. The 70s were a great time. I started driving at the end of the 70s and the 80s. So I missed a lot of that stuff, but of course that inspired so many of us, the movies and all of that kind of stuff. And this song inspired because this guy was on TV back in the 70s too. If you remember John Schneider, well, during the pandemic, he redid a whole bunch of songs to do with the trucking industry so that they could do that. And the one that he's done is racing for sure is all about Roy. When we come back, I will share with you my experience in the truck.
You know who it is?
My favorite station. I love you guys.
Turn your radios up.
All right, so we're going to get into our feature about Asleep at the Wheel. I don't know if you know about these guys. Country western, western swing, whatever you want to call it. They actually started in Paw Paw, West Virginia, kind of known to be in Austin, Texas is where they go out. I think you all know Ray Benson. He's the big guy since 1970. He's been on guitar. You've got Elizabeth McQueen on guitar since 2005, Katie Shore since 2013, Leroy Preston on guitar, Cindy Cashdollar on steel guitar, and Emily Gimbel since 2014 with Jason Roberts since 1994, and Floyd Domingo on keyboard and instruments. There's been a whole bunch of them underneath that were there in the 70s on piano. They had Johnny Nicholas, Chris O'Connell, David Sanger, and Tony Garnier. So they were all the ones on. Now, it's really interesting about this group. This group is one of those groups that you hear their music all the time, and whether you associate it with them, because they do a lot of collaborations, a lot of stuff like that, but they've been around for over 50 years. This is it. Co-founder Ray Benson, he actually didn't come up with the band's name. He said it was coined by his good friend and original bandmate Lucky Oceans in 1970. That's how they got that. But in the early days, it was led by Ray, and the group holds a special place in television. Because if you remember that show, Austin City Limits, that's right. Used to watch that all the time. That's before YouTube and MTV. Well, I was after MTV, I think. And that was kind of the country version. In fact, Sunday, I think it was Sundays or Saturdays, I think, that was the place to be. And they would film the shows live and all that kind of stuff. Since then, he's been with everybody. As far as Willie Nelson, the Avett Brothers, Amos Lee, all that kind of stuff. Now, here's an interesting thing. So he's, Ray Benson says, he's in Texas, right? So he's living in Austin. And of course, there's a few big country singers in Austin, like a George Strait kind of guy. So he says he's doing an album, all kinds of stuff. And he says he gets a text from about a new project. This is the one where he did Riding High in Texas from George Strait. And George says, how come I'm not on the album? All right. And Ray goes back and goes, well, you're not on the album here because you're on volume 2. Like, that's how many he had, right? So it's very cool. So we're going to start off with one of mine. Now, this one here, I love this song. I actually usually listen to it by Commander Cody, but Asleep at the Wheel did this as well, and it's one of my favorites called Hot Rod Lincoln. Let's have a listen to this.
Son, you're going to drive me to drinking if you don't stop driving that Hot Rod Lincoln.
love that song, don't you? That's one of my favorites for sure. We got another one that we're going to play for you here in a minute, but I realize I forgot to share with you my part in the cab, so I'll do that right after this next part here. I'll share that piece of me driving down the because it was kind of hilarious. Very hard to hold a camera when someone's doing burnouts in a 1975 Kenworth, but I'll share that with you anyway. But if you're looking at Asleep at the Wheel, some of the stuff they've done 26 studio albums, 16 live albums, 21 compilation albums, 7 extended plays, 40 singles, 4 video albums, and 19 music videos. And that's probably just got them to 1970. No, it's 50 years. So they've done a whole bunch of stuff. They've got some really good ones here as well that I think are great. Wheels keep on rolling is a good one here. Of course, Route 66 is the one I'm going to play for you now. They got so many. You can't even list it all. It's already gone. So let's try this one. Get your kicks on Route 66. I know you know this one. Let's start this one off, and I'll come and share back my kicks in the truck.
You never know what's going to happen next.
They always are coming up with new stuff, new twists.
The craziest stuff happens on that show.
It keeps me laughing.
You're listening to Lead Pedal Radio, music for people behind the wheel.
Oh, that was a good one, wasn't it? I love that song too. All right. I promised I would share with you my experience in the truck. So here's the deal. Now, back in the day when they started truck racing, it was 1979. They did it on the oval track down in Atlanta. I don't know too many oval tracks anymore. There's a couple here, none of them that we've got one in our area here. I don't think I'd want to see trucks on it. I don't think they would get very far. I've seen car races there, but not trucks. So anyway, where we go now, we just recently had it. We call it Big Rigs, where they open up the track. It's a quarter-mile straight track. Jeff Campbell, big shout out to Jeff, owns a trucking company there, and he's always there. He's been doing this for a while. And I've gone down the road with him a few times before. It's a ton of fun. And I got a chance to go down. Now, he was doing pretty well when we got there, and he was kind of having this race with this red Peterbilt that was there. They were kind of, from a point standpoint, they were neck and neck. And so here's my version of being in a truck. I apologize if you're watching this. I apologize for the shaky camera, because that's about all you could do, right?
93 miles per hour defeats the 16, 61, and 88 in the right lane. Jeff Campbell will be up next. 75 TW.
That doesn't smell nice. That burns your fucking eyes.
Will now in at 1680. In the left lane, the R&E entry is down at 1638.
So Jeff, how long have you been racing these trucks?
Oh, way too long. I don't know, 10, 15 years, somewhere in there. I lost track.
This is the toy truck?
This is the toy truck. This is the toy truck. You've been down the track with me before, so.
Oh, yes, I know it's fun. I know it's fun. Tires are no problem to Jeff.
Put that on next month's account.
Yeah. track. Nice.
What we lost in Red Lip.
Big thank you to Jeff for taking me down the track. Here's one from Asleep at the Wheel. This one's called The Wheels Keep On Rolling. Keep on rolling. All right, it's been so much fun. We're at the end of another show already, so I hope you enjoyed that. We talked a little bit about truck racing, featured our friends Asleep at the Wheel, our friends Mr. Thomas Wade, Preferred Artist of the Week, and Teddy Rowe. We're going to go out with one with Teddy. Join us every Monday night at 7 o'clock. If you want to see footage, check out our Lead Pedal Radio to see footage of the race. And if you want to hear about the whole event, which is called Big Rigs, check out the podcast side of it, and you'll see a whole recap over there. All right, this is Teddy Rowe's latest song called I Got a Song, and I Gotta Go.